Alrighty, first shots with the High Tower Armory MBS 95 Bullpup conversion for the Hi Point carbine. This one's in 45 ACP. You're seeing the very first shots. Let's see how it goes. Alrighty, first magazine, success.
Hello YouTubers, Stevie here. I know I promised to cut down on talking head, and I'll try to keep this brief. I don't know this on the range, but I've been favoring lane 2, which is really good lane for shooting, but not that great for shooting video. Apparently it's close proximity to lane 1, and the popularity of the lanes in general makes it impossible to shoot video up there without background fire, and that makes the audio kind of questionable. So I knew that going into it this time. That's why I try to keep the talking a minimum on the footage from the range on this video. So I'm going to try to make up for it here, but keep it brief. So sorry about that. I will probably seek better range time for that coming down in the road. So today I'm doing a review, as you probably noticed by the title, on the High Tower Armory MBS 95 Bullpup conversion 4, and here's the elephant in the room, Hi Point pistol caliber carbine. This particular one happens to be in 45 ACP, which makes it the 45-95 TS. I've owned the weapon now for a little under 3 years. In fact, I've actually done a video a while back. Show some of that here. And I was shooting on steel at 50 yards. And also, I think I was using my grandfather's reloads that I found a stash of, and some of those are dating back almost 100 years old. So that's pretty impressive, actually, for both the ammunition performance and the carbine as well. This is basically what it looked like, before the Bullpup conversion, and of course, this is what it looks like afterwards. And so basically answering the big question, why? Why did I spend money on a Hi Point to begin with, and then why did I spend more money putting it into a different stock? Okay, I could go into great lengths on why I like Hi Point, and more in particular why I like the company. But that would be subjective. That's my reasons. Really wouldn't necessarily be the same reasons as you would have. Beautiful thing about living in America, we have plenty of firearms to choose from, pretty much covering every price range you can think of. And I know a lot of people will give this particular, the carbines, but Hi Point in general, credit for being a affordable entry-level firearm for somebody who may just not have the money to buy something. I hate to use the word nicer, but something more refined. Okay, I guess that may be fair. But they're really kind of overlooking what is truly objective about what you could say about Hi Points, is that they are an exceptional value for the money. Sure, they're not elegant, they're not hand-fitted, high performance, but they are quite functional and actually very accurate. And the company behind it, they're made all in America, in Ohio, and that company will stand behind the firearm no matter who owns it for forever. And it's not just word of mouth. I mean, they've got the reputation to back that. So yeah, it's up to you if you want to spend money on a Hi Point to begin with. It's certainly up to you if you want to spend a couple $100 more on a conversion stock. And then of course, obviously, with the conversion stock, you're not going to be able to use the factory sights. So you have to at least get something in the way of an optics. And the Romeo 5, even though it's pretty much dirt cheap these days, around 100 or so, it still looks, if you're putting on top of something that's basically inside a Hi Point. So, if you're not that interested, just go ahead and shut off the video now. But if you are interested in what this thing can do, watch further. After sighting it in, of course, only thing left is to actually have some fun with it. So Did some rounds with factory ammo, which factory ammo did turn out too accurate. Then tried some of my pretty spicy hand loads, and those really worked well. So yeah, roll that footage.
Glitch number 1. Alright. First time with the red ball. At all. Certainly the first time in the full stock conversion, or Bullpup conversion. Let's see how it goes. Other than the little glitch getting it in the battery. Okay, we're going to try now some of my hand loads. Pretty spicy plus P's for 45 ACP. I'm sure they'll work fine. Digging this High Tower Bullpup conversion. Pretty damn cool. Pretty damn cool. I have no doubt that this will cycle it fine, since I've run it in this before the Bullpup conversion. But I have to say, I'm really digging this thing. Really digging it. Yeah, it's got some kick to them. I have to say, the 6 Tower, everything I put it on, this Romeo 5, it's been awesome. And certainly can't say enough about how good it is on this weapon. Kicking the shit out of that target with these plus P's. Love it. Got a trigger glitch there. I don't know what that was all about. plus P's have enough kick to kind of push me back, but it's handling like a champ. Definitely manageable. Alrighty, one more stick of the my hand load plus P's. I only have 18 of these rounds left. Not quite a full magazine, but it'll work. Alright, that one ended up better. Alright. So I found if you...
What I was about to say about the triggers, I discovered and explained a few trigger glitches I had. You really have to be conscious to pull all the way back, directly back, you know, kind of like you would with a 1911 trigger. If you get it at a weird angle, it'll actually kind of bind up on itself. According to the one video I saw on the actual assembly, you know, putting it into the new stock, there is in theory, adjustment within the trigger. You've got the actually trigger of the high point action is right in this section right here, and then of course obviously your actual trigger is up here, so there's a rod that comes back and functions to push the trigger back, and apparently there's some play in there. So right now the trigger's not too bad, but you know, and of course High Point's not known for their crisp trigger breaks, but I'm hoping there's some work on it. It's not like, oh gosh, that's a game changer, but it could use some work, and hopefully that's true. If not, though, it's still a really nice shooter. You just have to be, you know, get used to that trigger pull. The other thing I found out, and this we'll start with the cons. Under fire, and I think mostly with my plus P rounds, I actually had this bolt right here. The nut flew out, hit me in the nose. Actually, I didn't know what it was. I just thought it was something fell from a tree. It wasn't until I actually finished firing and was reloading magazines that I noticed that bolt that's sitting on the mat. That's why I put 2 and 2 together and realized it had fallen out. And then I got my Allen wrenches out and checked all the other screws, and it was mostly the ones up in here had gotten loose. I actually did email HTA on that one, and they said, well, you know, it's just going to be a breaking in period as the stock settles in as a result of you know, the energy transfer because of the action under fire. And so that process not only will make the takedown reassembly smoother, a little easier with less tension, but it also these will start settling in. I'm probably going to use some blue Loctite when I take this down to clean it again. And I ran that by them too, and they said that shouldn't be a problem. So that was the only real concern. Fortunately, I did notice that bolt, otherwise I would have been missing a part already. But everything seemed to be tight after that. The only other con, really, other than, like I said, the trigger is going to take getting used to, and I mean, the magazines are High Point magazines, so even the red ball is a little quirky, but that would be the same way if it was on the you know, original factory stock. I know they don't go flush to this mag well as they do on the factory, and there's some people that complain about that. There's a little wheel in there, but as far as I can tell, it didn't affect the actual function of the weapon at all. So I really can't say that's a con. And here again, I'm hoping, you know, that the screws, like they say, will stop doing that, and that won't be a con. So really the only one that it is, and this is something I'm hopefully going to be able to do something about, but this section right here, behind the trigger, or the hand grip, where the serial number plate comes through, you're going to get a lot of play. You know, basically that's smacking your hand on the recoil. And I got a pretty good bruise right there on the kind of knuckle of my thumb. But it went away, and you know, the next day it wasn't. I thought it was going to swell up, you know, be a really big black and blue because it was starting to turn bluish. But yeah, but I'm thinking if I can get some kind of rubber grip tape and just put it over that section right there, that at least, because I think it's when it's banging up against, because this is not completely flush, it's a little recessed, so, and that might be something I can do something about as well. But that is really the only real con that I found on this. The pros are, it is a high quality piece of machinery here that they put together, High Tower Armory. I mean, it really, I mean, there's nothing cheesy about this stock whatsoever. I mean, you can tell it's really high quality material. It does, you know, feel solid in your hand. I think they actually put a weight back here to kind of counterbalance the fact that, you know, there's going to be a lot more weight up here because of the action. If you've ever seen the Hi Point carbine action, it's a big old chunk of metal. So even that little detail was thought out. It has M-lock slots on the back as well as on either side of the forearm. Plus you've got aluminum rails come stock, so it's something usually you want any sort of accuracy out of an optic on a Hi Point, you have to replace these with aluminum ones, and by the time you do that, you're close up to $100 anyway. So spending a little over $200 for something of this quality that not only takes care of a lot of those details that you end up having to upgrade after the fact, including taking the factory optic iron sights off and putting decent optics on. But it's also really solid, nice feel. Everything about it fits really well. Even the way the charging has been handled just makes that so much easier to work with and lock in place. Just really well thought out design. It makes this like a whole nother weapon. So I would have to say, for me, it was a huge thumbs up. So that's my review of the High Tower Armory MBS 95 Bullpup conversion for the Hi Point pistol caliber carbine. Thanks.